Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the month of May. For the month of May, we have invited our newest / youngest elected sister and appointed to leadership in Nigeria. And they just recently finished their chapter and elections. And so Sister Kelechi is our guest speaker for today. And the topic for this month of May is With an Attentive Ear and a Courageous Heart. It is the title of a book that we have here in the United States, and it's all about Catherine. So it's not only in the United States, it's everywhere in this congregation, but it's all about having an attentive ear and a very courageous heart. And so we're looking at what are the issues, and Sister Kelechi is going to share with us today, what are the issues facing Nigeria, those social justice issues that need an attentive ear and a courageous heart like Catherine. So welcome, Sister Kelechi. So glad you're with us.
Thank you, Sister Michelle. Yeah, it is an honor for me to be here today. I would like to first of all thank you, Sister Michelle, and your team for organizing this platform of learning, life skills for mission across the units. The topics being treated are quite enriching, especially the discussion on social issues which need a global attention. These topics will not only expand our horizon, but will be a wake-up call to us in our charism of service as poor handmaids of Jesus Christ. And before I proceed with my presentation, I would like to give a brief explanation on the presentation structure. The outline is under 9 major headings, and the topic I will be speaking on, as you already said, is attentive ear and courageous hearts needed to address social issues in our world today. The presentation will focus on what we are called to do as poor handmaids of Jesus Christ to address the concerns around social issues and how we can attentively and courageously bear authentic witness amidst all these struggles.
Okay. And please share your screen.
May I then share my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
There's a little delay in your computer, but that's okay. We can see you. You're beautiful right now. Yes. Yes. We have to see. There we go. And would you take it? Yeah, from the beginning.
Good.
It should be. Nope. Yes, there we go. Now we got it.
So as I already said, I introduced what the topic is, the topic of my presentation, attentive ear and courageous hearts needed to address social issues in our world today. And the outline is already listed here. There will be introduction, definition of social issues and / social crisis in Nigeria, historical context of social issues in Nigeria, a call to action, how Jesus addressed the issues of his time, the challenge to be attentive, proactive, and courageous in addressing the social issues, St. Catharine's approach to the needs of her time, how we as PHJC have lived out our charism of service in addressing some social issues. And then at the end, there will be questions for reflection.
Okay.
There is a belief that the only factor that is constant in life is change, which implies that every other thing changes. And these changes include growth in persons and things, which are mostly characterized by experiences that are either pleasant or unpleasant, desirable or undesirable, and sometimes necessary or unnecessary. The implication of the above belief is that we are expected to be change makers and make a difference in our world today. In the contemporary Nigerian society, there are issues on social challenges that have emerged which are against the norms, morals, and ethics of our society, which of course make life very unbearable and impact us either directly or indirectly. And then the question could be, what are social issues? Social issues are events that negatively affect the personal or social lives of individuals or the well-being of a society. Such issues as we have in Nigeria include poverty, insecurity, violence, unemployment, corruption, kidnapping, human rights violations, human trafficking, child abuse, among many others. Poverty, this is one of the major issues of social crisis we experience in Nigeria. And poverty has given birth to incidents of high involvement of citizens in criminal activities, such as corruption and all types of immoral conducts. The poor lacks the means to satisfy basic needs. They do not have personal assets necessary to produce income and wealth. Of course, an average family in Nigeria may be unable to afford 3 good square meals in a day. For some, eating at least 1 good meal is a big problem. This is the roots of more societal problems like crimes, diseases, high rate of immortality, and other major issues. Another major problem that we are facing in Nigeria is insecurity and insurgencies. This is a high level of insecurity in Nigeria. There are different insurgencies found in the country like banditry, Boko Haram insurgency, Fulani insurgencies, militancy, widespread kidnappings, and many others. Recently, this criminal act of kidnapping people have become widespread and very frequent as a result of the monetary inducement of the process. Most often, the victims who are kidnapped are usually kept in an unknown place, and victims' relatives are compelled to pay certain amounts as ransom, and failure to comply within the specified time, the victim may be killed. Though kidnapping is both legally and morally wrong, though thousands of youths see it as a lucrative business, especially the unemployed youths. This can be checked by provision of employment opportunities. All these have serious negative impacts on the living conditions of the citizens. People live in fear due to the destruction of lives and properties, among other things. Then we talk about the historical context of social issues in Nigeria. These can be traced before pre-colonial and colonial eras. Since then, each political leader that emerged, either by election that is being voted by the citizens or imposition, claims to be working for the masses and towards alleviating the social issues. But the effects of their claims cannot be seen as things get worse each passing year. Amidst all these social issues. What are we called to do as poor handmaids of Jesus Christ? Of course, we are called to be prophets who bear authentic witness for Christ. Bearing authentic witness implies imitating Jesus and touching lives through the way we live and relate with others. Jesus came into the world to relate to the broken, the sick, the abandoned, the voiceless, and the unjustly treated. Throughout his ministry, Jesus went about preaching the good news of God's love and forgiveness. His teachings, miracles, and personal interactions with individuals served as impactful testimonies, demonstrating his compassionate heart and deep desire for people to know the truth. Jesus' witnessing went beyond mere words. He lived out his message through his actions, showing love, compassion, and grace to all those he encountered. His life was a shining example of the transformative power of faith. And this authentic witness brought countless individuals to a deeper understanding of God's love and salvation. As poor handmaids of Jesus Christ, we are called to do the same. We are called to share Jesus' message of love, hope, and salvation through our words and actions. This means being attentive and proactive to the problems, demands, and needs of our time, speaking for the voiceless, treating others with kindness, building relationships with them, the abandoned, the hopeless, and sharing what Jesus did in his own mission on earth. In other words, we should live out our faith so that people can see Christ in us, and we must not neglect to speak about him. As a popular saint once said, speak to no one about your faith. Leave it out so that people may ask you about it. In order to be able to address the issues around social concerns, we must possess attentive ears and courageous hearts. The ability to listen to the Spirit of God in us, ourselves, and the people we are missioned to attentively is very essential. Listening attentively to others and seeking to understand their fears, doubts, and questions can foster genuine dialogue and create opportunities to share the hope and love of Christ. This attentiveness will enable us to identify where our services are needed and to respond accordingly. Attentiveness with an open heart will gear us towards hearing this call to address social issues. If we are not courageous enough to take risks and stand out, our attentiveness will not yield any positive fruit. We did not receive the spirit of timidity and fear, but the spirit of boldness and courage, which will empower us to speak where others are silent, knowing that we are called to be imitators of Christ, who stood for justice and truth. Our founder, Saint Caterina, was attentive to the promptings of the Spirit and the needs of her time. That was why she was able to take the risk of founding our congregation. With a courageous heart, she stood for the abandoned, the less privileged, and the neglected. She served the people of her time and sent sisters to America in 1868 to nurse the German immigrants during the war. Without her courage and the readiness to take risks, we would not have been where we are. today. How have we been able to address some of the social issues in Nigeria so far? Of course, we have tried our best to contribute our own quota through poverty alleviation, through the financial support of the congregation and other people of goodwill. So many people have been empowered and they are presently self-reliant, thereby contributing positively to the growth of the nation. We also give palliative to the people around us with the support help of Kinderhilfe Ugwako. Many children in our schools in the western and eastern parts of the country are on scholarship being sponsored by Geshivista Africas and Dr. Peter Kalori and family, who are our sponsors and collaborators. I believe education is the fastest way of alleviating poverty. Through human trafficking and child abuse, we work in collaboration with Arise Foundation in the fight against human trafficking and child abuse. In our schools, we ensure the children are given a friendly atmosphere that will enable them to share their pains and experiences of abuse with us. This has worked over the years, and there is a foundation we collaborate with whenever we have any case of abuse. Finally, in our home for the less privileged and the abandoned children, we have given hope and future to many people and still do presently. And this is done in collaboration with the Ministry of Social Affairs and Human Development, though we do not get any financial support from them, but we try to contribute our own quota. We have some questions for reflection because we have come to the end of the presentation. The number one question is, by witnessing to the Father, Jesus stood firm and addressed the problems of his time. How can we, like Jesus, become a bread that is broken and the wine that is poured for our suffering brothers and sisters? Saint Catharina, a woman of the 19th century, hadn't much money and education, but she courageously addressed the needs of her time. How can we, as poor handmaids of Jesus Christ in this 21st century, stand out and make our voices heard in addressing the social issues of our time? Thank you for listening, and God bless.
Well, thank you. If you want to stop sharing your screen, there we go. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. You gave us a snapshot of not only the issues that Catherine would pay attention to, but also a snapshot of the beliefs and the values that undergird or that are underneath the formation of the sisters in Nigeria. So thank you so much. That gives us
Thank you,
plenty to
Sister
think.
Misha.
You're welcome. It gives us plenty to think about and to reflect on in our own lives. How do we go about continuing to address the issues? Not that not that the traditional ministries such as education, childcare, and hospitals and healthcare, not that they're not important, but new needs arise. How do we address those new needs of people in our countries? And so you have given us a great insight into that. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Kelechi, for sharing with us
Bless you,
from,
sister. Thank
from
you.
your
The pleasure is mine.
perspective. And that concludes our first presentation for the month of May. Thank you all.